Hello everyone, it's Becky here. I hope you are all doing well and welcome back to today's video. I recently finished a book that I enjoyed very much and I decided to make a separated book review video for it. It's also been a while since I painted and I thought it would be quite fun to make a spread in my reading journal with watercolors and film the whole process while talking about the book. And some other films. Now, I'm not a painter at all, I just find it very relaxing, so most of the time I'm either experimenting or following some tutorial on YouTube. It's been about a year or so that I discovered acrylic paints, so now I'm kinda jumping between those and watercolors. Today I decided to paint a little landscape of Scottish Highland, concretely Glencoe. As you can see from my thumbnail, the name of the book is The Highland Witch by Susan Fletcher, and goodness me guys, I love this book. The book is based on a real event, the massacre of Glencoe in 1692, and follows the story of Corach. She is the only survivor of this massacre, and at the beginning of the book we find her in prison where she faces the accusation of witchcraft and is awaiting her death. Soon after, Irish Reverend Charles Leslie visits her in prison trying to get information of what truly happened that day. He is a propagandist and Jacobite and he is hoping to gain evidence that would prove that King William was involved in that horrible incident so that King James could be reinstated. Corach agrees to tell him what happened, but in exchange he must listen to her life story. Since there is no one left in her life, it is the only way how she could be remembered. Corach speaks of her childhood, her mother who was also a condemned witch and taught her how to use different herbs to heal wounds. Corach tells how she found her place in Highlands and befriended MacDonald clan, the people she met until the point she ended up in prison. And from there, well, you need to read the book to find out what happens next. The book is told in two different ways, one through Corach's voice and second via letters that Charles wrote to his wife back in Ireland. Interesting thing is that there are no clear dialogues in the book, even visually they are not properly marked. Most of the things are narrated by Corach and the only way how she hears Charles's voice is through letters. It is also the only way how reader can get more familiar with this character and see how his perspective and opinions change through the story. And now guys, as I said, I love this book. It's absolutely beautifully written and if you like adventure, history, romance, magic, drama, Scotland, witchcraft, nature, you have to read this. First of all, it's based in Scotland, which as many of you know have been my second home for over 4 years now. I discovered this book a while ago and I immediately had to buy it, but then I had to wait over a month to arrive and then I read it in like 2 days. One thing that surprised me a little is the pace of the book. Most of the time, at least to me, it seems to go quite slowly, but not in a negative way. It was still engaging and I couldn't put it down, but it felt like experiencing adventure in slow motion. But then the last 100 pages, it was complete opposite, just filled with action and I didn't almost breathe. There was the only thing I must say that bothered me tiny bit, and that was the fact that Corach's love interest was married. I am not into this sort of romances to be honest, but this book still managed to make me, I'm thinking how to say it because I really don't want to spoil anything, but it managed to make me like how the things went when it comes to this romance in the book, but maybe you should read it yourself and then see what you think of it. I would like to point out some possible trigger warnings. There is a lot of violence in this book, well, massacre, right, sexual assault and animals death as well, so it's something to be aware of. One of the big parts of the story is loneliness. Corach spends a lot of time on her own, which on one hand made her who she was and able to appreciate small things and details in life and also her love for nature, but then sometimes I missed a little bit more of interaction between characters because even the romance between her and another character, Alice, there didn't come up as much or as strong to me because they didn't have as much of interaction through the story as I would expect them to have, but then on the other hand, because he was married, I didn't mind that at all. I must say that Corach is probably now one of my favorite literature characters. I absolutely adored her. She is this tiny creature, almost like a fairy living in Highlands, and despite all the things that happened to her through her journey, all the hardships, She remained strong, never gave up, and she saw the beauty in everything and everyone around her, like really beautiful person to read about. I enjoyed other characters in the book as well. I think it's a little shame that Charles didn't get a little bit more of his voice out, but I think the letters work very well and you could still get to know him through them. The whole book is beautifully written, it's almost poetic, and I ended up highlighting many quotes or whole paragraphs. The atmosphere created in this book is really amazing. It truly makes you feel like you know what it's like to live in 1600 in Scottish Highlands, because nature is a big part of the story. Descriptions are very vivid, and to me the story was just magical. I also kept thinking about the book and the story for several days after I finished it, and I will definitely read it again and probably very soon. And despite those teeny tiny flaws, I still gave it 5 stars because the atmosphere, goodness, I love this. So, if you have a chance, definitely give it a try. And now guys, since I have you here and we are already talking about Scotland, I thought I would tell you a little bit more about my favorite films and TV shows that are set or somehow closely related to Scotland. I'll start with the TV shows because recently I've been obsessed with a TV show called Men in Kilts. In this TV show, Sam Hugh and Graham McTavish, yes, Jamie and Dougal from Outlander, make a road trip through Scotland, and guys, I love this so much. Last week the final episode came out, which made me really sad, and I cannot recommend this to you enough. It's funny, it's cute, you can learn a lot about Scotland, and the sceneries are beautiful. Each episode focuses on something different, like food, traditional sports, Cayley, gosh I love Cayley, myths, legends, and so much more. Watching this made me always a little bit emotional because it just reminded me that I really miss Scotland, but yeah, hopefully all this will pass soon and I will be able to travel there again. The second TV show I will mention is Outlander, but I don't think it needs much of an introduction. This TV show is based on the books by Diana Gabaldon, and I still need to read them, by the way. So, Claire Randall, married World War II military nurse in Scotland, is transported in time back to 1700, where she must adapt to the new place, people, and their traditions. She falls in with a group of Mackenzie clan, gets married to Jamie Fraser, and becomes involved in Jacobite Rising. I really do like these TV shows, but my most favorite parts are the ones set in Scotland. As the series progressed, they moved to different places such as France or America. I've been trying to get traineeships with Outlander for past 2 years, but it's impossible when doing full-time uni, but now I am finishing my master's, so I'm going for it. Right, I will move to the films because there are a few of them I would like to mention, and the first one is 1986 film Highlander, starring Sean Connery and Christopher Lambert, accompanied with amazing music by Queen. This is a very interesting film to watch, and if you haven't seen it, I really recommend it. Basically, Christopher Lambert plays Conor MacLeod, who was born in Highlands in 1500. Soon after he was fatally wounded but didn't die, he meets Ramirez, Sean Connery's character, who explains him that 2 of them and some others are born immortal and cannot die unless being beheaded. Immortals wage a secret war and fight each other until the last few will meet in the final fight because there can be only one immortal. The film follows Connor through the many centuries he lives until he meets his oldest enemy in New York in 1985. I think most of the people either love or hate this film, and I think I'm somewhere in between. I do like to watch it sometimes, especially because of the historical time periods, but I think it's good to watch films which maybe are not exactly from the genre you watch normally, because it gives you a better sense of, different films and different genres, and for me this is one of those films. I do like watch it sometimes, but I really need to have a mood for watching it. One of my favorite films, or fairy tales based in Scotland, is Brave by Pixar. This film is so cute and funny and feel good, but also full of action and really keeps you hooked until the end. Princess Merida loves archery and horse riding, but soon she is told by her mother that her hobbies are not suitable for princess and she should be thinking about marriage. But Merida doesn't want to hear about it, which leads to argue between her and her mother. After that, Merida rides off and meets a witch. She asks for spells to change her mother, but when the change happens, it is not what she imagined at all, and she must find a way to fix it. This is a really charming story, and I loved humor in this film, and Merida's father and brothers are just the best characters, so definitely watch it if you haven't seen it yet. There are so many other great films, TV shows, books and stories that come from Scotland. So many films were shot there, especially in Highlands, for example, Skyfall, James Bond, and recently Eurovision Fire Saga, which is a hilarious film, by the way, make sure you watch it if you haven't. That was filmed in Edinburgh, for example. But I wanted to mention those that are, truly Scottish, not just having few shots of Highlands in the background or something. Other ones I will quickly mention is, for example, Trainspotting 1 and 2 by Danny Boyle. The film follows the group of heroin addicts living in Edinburgh and their journey through their life, starring Ewan McGregor, Johnny Lee Miller. Not story for kids though, but still good to see at least once in your life. Another one would be What We Did on Our Holiday, starring Billy Connolly, David Tennant and Rosamund Pike. Doug and Abby take their kids on a family holiday to celebrate big 75th birthday party at Uncle's estate in rural Scotland. But not everything goes according to plan. It's a very lovely film to watch about family, relationship and what is really important in life. And then of course there are most traditional films such as Braveheart or Rob Roy. I must confess that Rob Roy is still on my watch list, I haven't seen it yet, but hopefully I will get to it soon. I feel like I could be talking about this for ages, but I will stop here and we'll go back to the painting. Right, so the painting is done now. I must say I was expecting something worse, so that's good. And now it's time to fill the spread in my journal. I already prepared some parts of it, but I wanted to draw a wee thistle in the corner. As many of you know, the thistle is the national flower of Scotland, so I thought it would be nice to incorporate it into my spread. It was quite a challenge to glue this painting to the notebook, but now it's there finally. I had to paint it on separated paper because the pages in my journal are very thin, so it wouldn't work very well with watercolors. And now the final look of my Scottish spread. I must say I quite liked how it turned out. So thank you very much for joining me, and especially if you stayed until this point. You can let me know in the comments if you like me to do more videos like this in the future, and I will try to paint a little bit more and we can have a chat about books and films again. Also, let me know if you've seen any of those films and which one was your favorite, or if you read the book. And I will see you soon with another video. Thank you, bye!